Texas Tech fans, there's some news today with the Red Raiders. They will return Kevin Obanor for the extra year of eligibility he announced today. And that's big time news because he was a very valuable player for the Red Raiders this season after coming over from Oral Roberts, where he played a huge role in the Golden Eagles making the NCAA tournament run to the Sweet 16. From the 15 seed spot, Obanor, 10 points per game, 5.5 rebounds per game, 46% from the field, 33% from outside, but he's a way better shooter than that. And his defense improved dramatically. Like, you look at some of his advanced stats when it comes to the defensive position on Sports Reference, he went from a negative defensive box plus minus defender every single year of his career, his first 3 years, to a 2.0 defensive box plus minus. So he had a positive impact on the defensive end. I think you can credit that to Mark Adams' defensive system because he knows how to get guys to buy in on the defensive end and defend at a high level. So I think that played a massive role in Obanor's season. He was the team's second leading scorer behind Bryson Williams, and I guess TJ Shannon technically had 10.4 points per game, and McCullough had 10.1, but they didn't play the same amount of games. They were injured, so it's listed as Obanor being the second leading scorer, but they're all kind of in the same range. Either way you slice it, he had a double-digit scoring season in the Big 12 Conference, which is the best conference in college basketball. And now he will return and be the team's first or second leading returning scorer. If Kevin McCullough's back, he had 10.1 points per game. He's testing the NBA draft waters, but he could be back. And Obanor is back. TJ Shannon transferred, and Bryson Williams is at eligibility. But with Williams gone, those shots have to go somewhere else, and I think Obanor could pick up some of those shots. Williams attempted 10 shots per game compared to Obanor taking around 8 shots per game No, he took 11 shots per game, so he took a little bit more than Williams, actually. No, he took 8 shots per game. Yeah, I read the wrong year. So he took 8 shots per game for Texas Tech. I could see him taking 11, 12 shots per game and being a 13, 14 point per game guy because the talent level is through the roof. His free throw shooting wasn't as good. He didn't get there nearly as much, and his three-point shooting wasn't as good, but great pick and pop player, but he really improved his catch and shoot ability this season. Made some big-time threes against Texas, made some big-time threes against Kansas. So I think Kevin Obanor will be in for a big season and take a big step up in his production because Bryson Williams was the go-to guy all year, and that guy could be Obanor this season. But when you look at the rest of the roster, you add Demarion Williams, made a video on him when he committed to Texas Tech that adds another 3-and-D player that can really defend and shoot the basketball from outside, a perfect fit for Mark Adams' system, which really values defense and shooting ability, especially with the no-middle defense. Having as many defenders that play tough defense is valuable there. But the real question for me is, how does Pop Isaacs Jr., the freshman, point guard play? Because last year, the point guard was not a position that was a strong suit for the Red Raiders. You had Kevin McCullough in there when he was healthy. You had Clarence Nadolny. You had Malik Wilson. None of those guys. McCullough's not a true point guard, and the other two are just okay role players. They're not go-to point guards that you want starting in a game against Duke in the Sweet 16. Pop Isaacs could be that guy because he is really talented. But freshman point guards have some ups and downs. I mean, no matter who it is, even Jalen Suggs had some rough games. Derrick Rose, when he was a freshman, had some rough games. So the best freshman point guards, outside of like Cade Cunningham, he's one of the very few that I'm like, I just don't remember him having very many bad games. I know there's a couple in there, but for the most part, he was consistent all year. And Cade Cunningham's a special talent. We're seeing that at the NBA level already for the Pistons. So not everybody's going to be Cade Cunningham. Almost nobody is Cade Cunningham. But can Pop Isaacs be a 5 or 6 assists per game guy, low turnover rate, good defense kind of player? If he's that, I think Texas Tech will be really good. But I would assume that the Red Raiders aren't done making moves in the transfer portal. Jalen Tyson, he came in halfway through the year. He was originally committed to Texas Tech, then went to Texas, followed Chris Beard, and then ended up going back home to Lubbock. That's a good addition because he's an NBA-level talent. But who else will they be able to add? Can they add a few more guys similar to like what Davion Warren or Adonis Arms brought, some guys that will defend? But I think the biggest thing they're missing right now is another reliable big man. They don't need a great offensive big man at the 5. You're not going to get a Bryson Williams probably. You could put Obanor at the 5 theoretically, but then you're probably playing Tyson at the 4 with Williams at the 3, McCullough at the 2, and Isaacs at the 1. I don't hate that lineup, actually, when I say it out loud. It's not a bad lineup, but I think you'd rather have Obanor at the 4. And because you probably don't want Baccio playing 25 minutes per game because he doesn't bring much on the offensive end. Really good defender, but he's not quite there on the offensive end, so that's putting a lot on his plate. You're not going to get a Bryson Williams kind of guy, but there's a lot of options in the transfer portal. Like, they're in the mix for Fardaws AMAC. They're on, I believe it's a Final Five list. There's a lot of other guys like Kenneth Lofton Jr., Norchad O'Meara, Janai Broom. All these guys are really talented, and they're all in the mix to, for a lot of teams to add in the transfer portal. So, hey, if Texas Tech can add one of these guys, that would take them to another level. Add a guy next to Obanor that can really help you out. Add some more rebounding, add some more defense. That would go a long way for this Red Raiders team. But I'm going to put my trust in Mark Adams at this point, almost regardless of who's on the roster. When it's already a really talented roster, but last year the team definitely, I feel like, exceeded their talent level. They were a talented team, but did anybody expect them to beat Baylor twice? Did anybody expect them to beat Kansas once? And then sweep Texas? Like, they were just so much better than I feel like just about anybody would have expected last year, which goes a long way in for me believing what Mark Adams can do. Because while I think Chris Beard is an amazing coach, I still think he's one of the best coaches in college basketball. I feel like it would be only fair to put Mark Adams in that conversation now after what he did in year one, because that season could have went a lot differently if Mark Adams wasn't able to figure things out as fast as he did. And they were very close to being in the Elite Eight and ending Coach K's career in the Sweet 16. Obviously, Duke ended up making the Final Four, but that game was all Texas Tech in the first 10, 15 minutes of the game before Duke figured it out a little bit, and it came down to Texas Tech's inability to make a shot late, and they couldn't get a stop late, which was very weird to see that happen because they're such a good defensive team. But that team was comprised of a few returners like Shannon and McCullough and a bunch of guys from the transfer portal. And if that's something you can repeat every single season. You can add a bunch of different guys from the portal because Adonis Arms wasn't a superstar. Bryson Williams ended up being pretty close to a superstar, but you can repeat that. You can get guys like that every single year from the portal and make a consistent team of it. I think that's what we're going to continue seeing from Mark Adams, and getting Kevin Obanor back is just a big piece of it. I think he could wind up being the Red Raiders' best player next season, and I would expect Texas Tech to be ranked in the preseason top 25. They're a top 25 team for me. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and until next time, have a good one.